Hello and welcome back to another edition of One-on-One with Dr. J. I am your host, your CEO, your scientist, your guide for all things biotechnology and metagenomics. Again, this is a forum for talking about all things future fitness and next generation nutrition. Today, I am honored and have the pleasure to welcome to the show one of my former running mates and teammates at St. John's basketball, but Mr. Marcus Hatten, who led the Big East in scoring, national champion, 15-year European pro, entrepreneur, giving back to his community, anything you could think of. So with that, Marcus, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for taking the time and having me, John. We definitely have a history. We definitely have a lot to catch up on. I'm excited that you have me, welcome me on to be a part of your show.
Oh man, this is amazing. We've gone
Yeah.
from like practice teammates to now entrepreneurs talking about how to change the world and build our communities up. So this is kind of cool. But I guess the first thing to start with, a lot of stuff is going on in the world, COVID and things of that nature. So first and foremost, how are you doing? Where are you currently situated, and sort of what is going on in your life right now?
I'm doing amazing. I can't complain about anything. I won't complain about anything. Yeah. Like I said, where I'm at now, I'm at a place of peace, happiness, and joy, man. Right now I reside in Baltimore, Maryland, where I grew up at, where I'm from, and from time to time I'm back and forth from Baltimore to New
Nice, nice. Baltimore, big Be More thing. I've had a chance to go there a couple of
York.
times. And so you say you're going back and forth to New York. So I know, jumping into Baltimore, and you've invited me out to be a part of the Marcus Hatton Days and, the
Yeah.
Marcus Hatton Foundations. But like I said to you kind of off air, I see everything you're doing on social media, building bodies and bonds and just the whole community. So maybe what are you currently doing now? Because I see you just working out nonstop.
Right.
Like, what are you doing in the community, and what does sort of a typical day for you look like now in the Marcus Hatton sort of community?
Well, like you said, what's evident is the fitness training, personal training. That's like, that's my work. That's what I do. That's like, my place of business. You saying obviously I had become legendary, brand for me. And then, I kind of linked up with some good guys that I met up with and we started working out. And then we came up with the whole thing of building bodies and bonds. And it exploded so fast that, nobody had a plan for this. That it just happened. And we got the workouts every day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'm talking about Monday through Sunday, no days off. We get a regular crowd at about 20 to 25, maybe even 40 people at times every day. And then on Tuesdays, man, it just explodes. Like we run on Tuesdays, so we run about 4 miles through the communities of Baltimore City, and we run 4 miles through downtown Baltimore and back through the communities in the city. And we got from anywhere from 150 to 200 people that's a part of this one.
Wow. So Monday through Sunday, you're working out, you have anywhere from 1 to 200 folks. And, you said you run through sort of the streets of Baltimore to build
Hmm.
community, to stay in shape. And then
Hmm.
what happens after that? How long does your workout routine last? And also just say this, I said this to you, I know you from basketball when you were sort of this
Right, right.
wiry, athletic, fast sort of, athlete. But now I see you and you're like lifting weights and you're like bigger than Anthony Glover and all that stuff. And I see all these crazy pull-ups. So what actually does your workout regimen look like, and what do you do with this community after running?
My routine for me is different than how we train them because it takes it's not something that you jump right into. It's a process. Like you gotta it's like levels that you go past to build up to that. And we have people in all different like starts. Like you have beginners, we have intermediate, and we have advanced people. So we kind of break it down to that. But the whole thing is really pushing people past their limits because they know their limits. We don't know their limits. So like I said, we'll start with a good warm up at 10. We'll go do a couple circuits, which will probably require push-ups, mountain climbing, burpees, jumping jacks, squats, lunges, just a whole bunch of calisthenics. From we start at 10. Then if we feeling good, then we'll go around the lake a couple of times. We probably get like 2 or 3 laps around the lake. Honestly, I'm not big on running, but I know it's necessary because I get bored of running. Like it has to be something that makes it exciting for me. Like I have to be the time. I have to let people like I'm faster than you. So a lot of the stuff that we do is really competitive. It's like healthy competitive energy that we share amongst each other. Because if I get up there, let's say if I'm doing pull-ups, right? and I know I got some guys who will have the same like mind as me, will have the same energy as me. I can't get up there and do 15 knowing that they're gonna go for 25. So I got to give it everything I got, and I think that's what a lot of people have been, it's been contagious for people, that energy to see like, oh, they very, very competitive, but it's challenging for each and every one to keep them on the top of their game.
Mm.
So when we got the 20 or 30 or 40 people, then we break it down into like, in groups. And then we'll all we'll all take, so I might do 3 exercises, then another trainer might do 3 exercises, another trainer might do 3 exercises. So we kind of share the leadership role with each other. And honestly, from Baltimore, that's rare when you come to personal trainers. Like we don't have so many guys as personal trainers that work together in unity like we do. So that's what really set us apart from all the other guys that does personal training. They want to keep their clients, they want to do, their own thing and how they got it. And it don't matter what we do because whatever I'm gonna do, they're gonna feed off the energy. Whatever they do, I'm gonna feed off the energy. And the people that we're training, they're gonna feed off of our energy. So it works. And I think that's why, it was such a rapid increase of people that, people start seeing and people are mesmerized by it. They want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect transition. You said so many things like building up to something. It takes time to build something, to build a community. I think introduce people, educate people, become leaders. But at the end of the day, people want to be a part of something that could help them and benefit them. And my story. We both, went to St. John's at the same time. I think you sort of, went to the league into Europe, and I became a scientist, and spent 20 years doing that. Obviously it's been a process starting as an athlete and now trying to sort of improve fitness and nutrition with FitBiomics. And so this is a fun question I like to ask because obviously you're super athlete, super fit. What were your first thoughts or impressions when like maybe a couple of years ago I said, hey, Marcus, how's it going? Like a lot is different in my life now. I'm starting a biotech company. I want you to be a part of it. What were your first impressions when I spoke to you about FitBiomics, biotechnology, and like, microbiome technology?
First, I was amazed because like when you get into that type of field like that requires a lot of studying. That requires a lot of information. And I was like, okay, that sounds like something because, and honestly, from being a professional basketball player, being in Europe for the last 15 years, and having a couple brief stints in the NBA, that's all nutrition was about. That's all they would do with athletes. So they would take all these crazy tests that, honestly, for me, I was like, man, this can't possibly be the reason why somebody scores 20 or 25 points until you get older. And why I say when you get older, because when you're younger, you full of energy, you're energetic, like you feel like you can run through, jump off of whatever, and ain't no slowing down. And then I realized, as I got older, how important it was to be like, make sure you put the proper nutrition in your body because that same 35 minutes you was playing when you was 23, 24 years old ain't the same when you're 31, 32 years old. You got to pace yourself. And then, like I said, when I was able to really start getting into the nutrition side, like I knew I noticed I had more energy. I was better towards the end of the game. The physicality, wasn't too bad. Like I was able to handle it. And prior to 2015, I never had an injury that kept me out of the game. If it wasn't maybe one.
Mm.
So when I tore my quadricep tendon in 2015, I came back really fast. Like I came back, like I toured in January and I was back playing basketball in June.
Wow.
So when I got home, they was um, like that's an injury that lasts anywhere from 9 months to a year. And they're like, you play basketball, right? Like, how is that possible? But like I said, like, like by me having that mindset, by me understanding nutrition and things like that, I think it would help for my process. And at that time I was 34.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it wasn't like, like being younger. And then when you, like I said, when you called me a couple of years ago, it's like, man, how would you think about it? I thought it was perfect. I thought it was perfect because of what I went through as far as that injury, and then to see if it would help. Like, see if I see a difference. Because a lot of things, people just sign because they're, oh, yeah, this is great. This is gonna make them a lot of money, but it has to really work for you. You can't just be out there and somebody come ask you questions and you can't have the answer. And they're like, well, you just signed up. They just, what I'm saying? So I learned that through business as well. But I was really proud of you because I know where you came from, and I know from being practiced together that you came to practice, you practice. You ain't know whether you was getting in the game, let alone if you knew you was gonna get in practice. But you, every time I mess up, I always felt that energy. Like I ain't gonna let it be easy, but that's the beautiful thing about creating brotherhood. Because like now, one of the guys that I spend most of my time with when I come to New York is Andre Stanley.
Yeah.
So he's a really good friend of mine. We still, I just honestly I just talked to him today.
I think it's amazing, like you said, when you build like these family ties as teammates, you spend 2 to 4 years with folks basically on a daily basis, competing every day in practice. And then sort of everyone goes out into the real world and does their thing. But at the end of the day, these are long lasting connections. And I think everyone grows up, everyone evolves. But the amazing thing is, you could sort of go back to these relationships and still sort of work together to build something cool and creative. And that's why you never know where life is going to go. And I don't know, for you, leading the Big East in scoring. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this, one time I got into practice and I was tasked with guarding you. And I thought I did a pretty good job. And then you scored one basket on me and Coach Jarvis started yelling, hey, Simon, you think you could play a little practice? I was like, yo, my man leads the Big East in scoring. He just scored one bucket. I think I'm doing all right. But it's just, to your point, you also said things about when you're younger, your thought process, and then sort of as you get older and how you view your body. What is sort of like your nutritional regimen and training regimen? What did that look like when you were a top performer in college to being sort of a pro in Europe and now to being sort of like, a trainer that sort of looks to benefit your community? What's that evolution look like in terms of your nutrition and training?
Well, Simon, the funny thing about it, like when I was like in St. John's, even early years in my professional career, like I would eat anything, like it didn't matter, because I had a fast metabolism. I have a fast metabolism. So when people are like, yo, you can't eat this, you can't do that, I'm like, well, like you said, I was basing everything off my talent and my ability. Like I'm not getting tired in the game. Now in this time, if we playing 40 minutes, I'm playing 38 minutes. If the game 40 minutes, and in Europe, I'm playing 38 minutes regardless. So, I was like, damn, I don't feel tired, but it's the little things that you notice when you start eating better. Like it was the little things. There wasn't nothing that was made like, like I said, I would like the way that my thoughts, like it was a little sharp. Like, what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't be as tired, like, so it was just that, now, like I just got over 35 days of, being a pescatarian. So I took the meat out of my diet. And the number one thing that I know is it leaned me up and it cut me up, it shredded me up real well. But another thing that I noticed about it was it took some strength away from it. Because like, the chicken, the protein, the steak had the protein in it. And then I knew I wasn't eating enough to be a pescatarian, like, to maintain the energy that I need to be a pescatarian, how we was working out. So I say I was able to lift 120 pound dumbbells. Hello?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. So I was able to lift the 120-pound dumbbells like before COVID, and then I tried to go in and lift it about 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't even get it up. So even with the weights, you lose strength if you don't eat it properly. Like so that means by being a pescatarian, you should be at least eating 3-4 meals a day. Because with the meat, the chicken, it's stored fat. So when you working, it's burning that. That's what it's fueling off of. Wow. So as eating fish only, like it was a big difference. And like I said, when I was able to see like my stamina go high, back when I started eating right. I mean, like vegetables, a lot of big food, take the fried food up out my diet, cut down on the sodas, cut down on the snacks. And I ain't saying I went cold turkey, but if I was drinking 2 sodas, then I'll break it down to 1. So I did notice a big difference in that. And I'm gonna tell you something that's crazy though about me. I don't know if you really pay attention, but I never really drink water during the game. And they was like, yo, my teammates was like, yo, what's wrong with you? Like, why you not drinking water? I'm like, for me, some reason it made me feel like weak. It felt like it took something from me. When I would drink water during the game, I would feel weak. I would feel like a step slower. I'm like, man, I'm not drinking that. I'm okay. So for so many years, at least 8 years, that's how I was playing. And then after the game, I might drink Gatorade or something like that to kind of put, some electrolytes back in me and stuff like that. Yeah. But prior to then, like I couldn't stand drinking water again.
It sounds like it's crazy. Just it sounds like, you said you come a long way from understanding your body, being in fine tune. And I think everything you said about being young and just working off talent. I remember back in the days at St. John's, we used to have this thing called green magic, and we didn't really know what it was. I don't know if you remember green magic. Was like, all right, let's try it. And I feel like so much of sports and nutrition and training, it's just like, all right, let me try something. If it works, I'll stick with it. If not, then I'll try something else. But speaking of like microbiome, metagenomics, gut health, probiotics, do you currently do you think about your gut health at all? Have you taken probiotics? Have you taken prebiotics, kombuchas? Like, what are your thoughts on that and, potential applications or benefits?
Actually, for the first time, I actually drunk some kombucha, this synergy,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't bad, but it has to be a quiet taste, you know. Because like you said, like even with Jarvis, like I'm gonna tell you one thing that he would always break this type of stuff down to me, and at that age, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I never understood this. So like you said, the Green Machine, and I forget the guy name who used to bring the stuff in for us. The little I don't know if it's protein powders or what it was
I
that he
know.
would give to us.
Yeah.
But like I was like, man, what is this stuff, man? This can't possibly help me. But like I said, as you get older and you start understanding about it now, I'm not an expert at it because I'm still learning.
Mm.
But what you have going on, that's why I say I can't wait to actually try it to see if it's like the big difference from when I'm working out, pre-workout, post-workout, and just really adding to my nutritional benefits anyway.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, we've sequenced your microbiome and we've seen a lot of cool things. And just hearing what you say about just being a super athlete and saying like, I never drank water and like, I didn't really think about what I put into my body and you still performed at an optimal level. So understanding your biology, how that's almost programmed to perform at a high level, what we could learn from that, not only to optimize your health, nutrition, and wellness,
Mm-hmm.
and take those learnings to benefit other people as well. I think that's the most exciting part. I mean, like, quite frankly, we've sequenced your microbiome and we found things there that are enriched in you that are sort of akin to being enriched in like ultra marathon runners and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool how your biology maybe enables you to sort of perform. A lot of it is training and nutrition, and you have to keep it up to date. But it's a new frontier, and we're all learning. Just transitioning a little bit because I want to speak about sort of you going overseas, you're having your
Mm-hmm.
career, but then you came back home to Baltimore and the things you're doing with your community and to become legendary. For me, I'm a New Yorker. I played ball at St. John's. I got a PhD at NYU. I then went to Harvard to do my postdoc. But for me, it was always important to come back home,
Mm-hmm.
so I could help build my community to start FitBiomics at home. It's kind of like LeBron going home to Cleveland or something like that, or Tony Stark returning home to start the Avengers. But maybe just talk about, sort of your experiences in Europe. You came from Baltimore, you then
Mm-hmm.
sort of played overseas for 15 years, what you learned, and then why it was sort of important for you to come back home and start your foundation and become legendary and do what you're doing back in Baltimore.
The funny thing about it all, like like I said, by me understanding and being able to put things in perspective and think about, like even looking at a big story, like I mean from the past, like I've always did stuff about and it was just a beautiful thing. Like even when you're a part of it, like as a youth, as a team, right, and you're playing with the guys in your community or your neighborhood team or whatever the case may be, your youth basketball team, we was always doing things together. And I was excited when I would see like older guys who I knew had some type of success, like just being able to interact with. And still, like the guys who didn't come back, you always thirst for like, man, I want to ask them this or I want to ask them that. And I always said, like, you know what? I'll always be able to come back, or if I get the opportunity to come back and help build my community. So guys can really see, like, on a consistent basis, somebody who really, is successful as an athlete, as a basketball player. Because, once you hit a certain status, you don't tend to come around on an everyday basis because, business, whatever you got to do for your work. So it takes it's time to share. And then I thought this transition for me was perfect because when I retired at 18, I didn't know what was next, honestly. Like, cause I went back to school,
Mm.
got my degree at St. John's. I also ended up coaching high school basketball. I end up, creating my own mentoring program, which has become Legendary Mentor Program. And then I was like, still working out. But I never really addressed like, yo, what you've really done playing basketball. So once I addressed that, and then I think things started to fall in order. People started like, yo, we want you to do this, we got, So I was like, okay, cool. And then I started, spreading myself through everybody because they already had like integral pieces that I needed to help communities,
Mm.
right? So most of the time, it was like I was dealing with kids who had behavior problems. I was like, they just need to be heard, and a lot of people wanted to give them that opportunity. So when that started happening, people started reaching out to me more and more about, I got some kids that want to join your program. Can you help? Can you talk to my son? Can you train my son? And that became stressful
Mm.
because they really want you to work with that kid. Like my mind and my vision, I want to help all the kids. I don't like when people ask you like, well, you need to talk. I don't have a talk. Because why? If he's 5 years old, I'm gonna help him. If he's 18 years old, I'm gonna help him. If he's 25 years old, I'm gonna help him. And people like, yo, if you narrow your target down and help you with your audience, I don't like that's not my handle with you.
Mm.
So
Mm.
and all the kids, like I said, I always like always that's been in me. I believe that I can help, as many people that need help. So that transition for me was great once I figured out, once God helped me, gave me a clear vision, like, oh, wait, this is what the purpose I have for you. And this was like at the basketball. Because honestly, now I rarely play basketball. Like I've been retired for 2 years and I probably played 15 times maybe.
Wow. This is my best opportunity to beat you one-on-one. The
No,
next,
no, 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 no. Because I got so
oh,
many people who still come and try to play.
you,
But like I said, I'm not the inner, like the
you
passion is
haven't played
gone.
in 2 years, 15 times in 2 years. This is my opportunity.
But it's just like riding a bike. It's just like riding a bike.
So that's funny. I wanted to transition to a couple of questions I want to ask you, and I know. Thank you for staying on. But one thing you said that really resonated with me is like you have so much knowledge, right? Being a top performer, going overseas, learning stuff globally, being a professional athlete, now being an entrepreneur, but now coming home to spread that knowledge, each one
Mm-hmm.
teach one. I just got to say, when I left St. John's, yes, I went to NYU to get my PhD, but I also spent 8 years coaching inner city kids in
Mm-hmm.
high school basketball. And then for me with FitBiomics, it's always been about, how can we go from like privileged communities, Harvard, Ivy League with all this technology, but how can we now translate and make it more accessible to the masses? Because, Marcus, you were a professional athlete. Not everyone is going to be, but you could take your
Right.
learnings and you could help people. And now you're an entrepreneur, you could educate people. For me, I wasn't a professional athlete, so I became a scientist and I went into biotechnology. So can we now educate kids and expose kids to that? And I remember going down to Baltimore for the first ever Marcus Hatton's Day and sort of talking
Mm-hmm.
to kids about biotechnology. And I think really it's about exposing people to different opportunities and things of that nature. So I think that's the goal, right? Each one teach one, take what we've learned,
Absolutely.
pass it down to the next generation.
Because
Yep.
because a lot of the times you gotta understand, most of those kids, the masses of those kids don't know where to get that information.
Yep.
So it's foreign to them. Like it's like when I was going overseas, right? And trying to create dialogue about what can I eat or where can I go to get food or X, Y, and Z. They looking like what? What? I'm like,
Right.
I
It's
want
just
food.
it's
So it's foreign. Like it's foreign to
foreign.
me.
It's foreign.
Absolutely.
It's just the
So
whole notion of science, technology, like there's a status quo of what we're told to eat or drink, but can we
hmm
improve upon that? How can we use science to sort of like disrupt that? And like you said, we're learning from people. So that's what we're doing with you.
hmm
You are sort of like elite physiology, elite phenotype, super healthy. What works in you? Can we learn? Can we sort of decode that? And now can we sort of apply that to benefit the masses? I think that's the heart of FitBiomics. Can you still dunk? Quick question.
I dunked last Sunday.
Last Sunday. All right, on any
Last
given
Sunday.
Sunday. I gotta say, when the first time I saw you junior in college and people were throwing you alley oops, and I swear, like both your forearms were above the rim, you were catching 360s and reverse dunks. I was like, all right, man, I don't know, this guy's from Baltimore, from Tallahassee, but I think he's gonna be all right with him leading the way at St. John.
Absolutely.
But, you know, what would you say at St. John's or in your professional, what were some of your memorable moments of your careers that stood out to you, or maybe who were some of the better players you played against? I got to ask, as a former ball player, you know, some of the things that you still think about to this day.
Um, uh, when see when I came on my visit to St. John's, I didn't play. I just watched you guys practice. But for some reason, like I just knew, like you can ask them. I think Darren had took me to dinner, and I was like, Darren, look, just give me it to me. I'll sign it right now. He's like, but we wait, we still want to show you. I was like, I don't need to see, because I probably already been to like three schools before prior to St. John. And then I remember walking on campus the first day, honestly a fish out of water, honestly. Because I'm like, man, it's New York City, like you up here, but we was in Queens, so it was kind of like you could like, because then when you hear in New York, you always hear about Harlem, maybe like the Bronx. You don't really hear too much about Queens. All right, long story short, um, that first practice, I was so excited, like my energy level was crazy, like I was just ready to prove the coach, like yo, I can do this, and prove to myself, but I also wanted to prove to my teammates, like I ain't gonna be one of those guys that talk to you guys about everything, keep trying to use motivational speaks to like get you guys riled up. I'm gonna show you by example. I'm gonna lead through example, and that was always my motto. Because, like I said, once you see the things that I would do, then you would start taking it more and more serious each day. Each day I'm coming, each day I'm coming, right? And when we got the first, when we was able to play in Madison Square Garden, and we played against the Harlem Globetrotters, that was
Yeah.
and, and then the season, like the thought of the season being taken away was really one of the craziest things to me. 'Cause I was like, dang, as soon as I get a chance to play college basketball, this happened.
Yeah.
And at that time, not understanding what terrorism was, it was selfish.
Yeah.
But that's how bad I wanted to play ball. Like I really wanted to show like New York, the world, that I was ready to play ball.
Yeah.
Like, and then when I got that breath of fresh air, when I was like, we're gonna have our season, but we're gonna play for the city of New York. That from there, it was like I didn't have no time to wait.
Yeah.
So, it was a number of games. Like, I think my first game against Boston College in the Garden, when I think I had 31. We played against Connecticut. I had 34. I made like 20 something free throws. Um,
Light, light,
yeah,
all nonchalant. I remember,
you,
I don't know if you remember this senior night at Madison Square Garden, you had 44 against Rutgers, and
mm,
you put in so much work. You gave me an opportunity to get back into the game, and I was 0 for 4 in the game, so I couldn't score. I was just like, hey, you had 44, we're not moving on to the next phase. So, I appreciate you looking out for me on that. Who was a quick rapid fire best player you played against, both at St. John's or maybe overseas?
so many good players. And I'm gonna be honest, Sean, man. More people were in awe about playing against me than I was playing. So that would kind of gave me an advantage to guys. Like they be like I'm talking about overseas now, because like I was playing for such a long time, I was able to see guys here like, yo, I used to watch you at St. John's when I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And now they 23, 24 years old, and I'm 37. So, really trying to compete against them, there was a lot of guys. But I would have to say in college, like Troy Bell was tough. Chris Thomas was tough. Ben Gordon was really, really tough. Um, Even Brandon Knight, man, like I had the most problems with him chasing him on screens, because like he would come on screens, and I always had a problem chasing people on screens and making threes. I was just like, that's one of the things that drove me crazy, because I knew he wasn't as good as me, but he just used his system, and he used it to his advantage. But then when I got overseas, man, all these European kids who are now NBA players, European legends like Spanulis, Yedemididis, even Gallinari, Luigi Datome. So all these guys are really, really good who I played against. So guys like, yo, like I've seen it. Like, like one guy was like, yo, he's a kid talking about Gallinari. He was 19. And he was doing whatever he wanted in the Italian league. At 19 years old, you couldn't stop him.
I think, and this will segue to the last question. I firmly believe, from a basketball perspective, you were ahead of your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were a scoring point guard before it was the thing to do. Now you have like the Steph Currys, the Russell
Right,
Westbrook.
right, right.
the Dame Lillards, like you were leading the Big East at scoring, running point. What a lot of people don't realize is not only did you average 20 a game, you also averaged 5 assists a game and 5 rebounds a game.
Right.
You led us to the NCAA tournament, and you led us to an NIT championship senior year. But sticking with that thread, and you've seen the evolution of the game in Europe and seeing how now the European game has affected the NBA. You were still ahead of the game, and you were still ahead of your time, because we're talking about the future of fitness, next generation nutrition, biotechnology, metagenomics. And the reality is, you are a super performer, you're an elite athlete, you are a model for optimal health, you also are an educator, you're an entrepreneur. So you're doing things to translate knowledge to benefit the masses. And we're working with you in that regard. We've sequenced your microbiome, you're part of the team, you're part of the family. So I guess the last couple of questions are, as we enter this new, frontier of biotech, metagenomics, probiotics, gut health, one, what's something that you would like to see moving forward that maybe you didn't have access to previously, how this technology could help you? What are the applications you'd like to see? And then two, what just in general excites you most for the future of this technology and benefiting the masses in your community?
I want, when it comes to microbiology, I want kids to really give it a chance. Because let's say, like, we put so much stuff in our body anyway. Like, you know what I'm saying? But we also got to make sure that they get the proper knowledge, education about it, so they can feel more comfortable. Because, like I said, even when Jarvis was offering like these certain things to put inside your body, nutritional things inside your body, I had no information, I had no education about it. So it's more like, I'm not doing it. So for one, you are doing a great job. I want to let you know that by informing people and really starting this new thing and I was going to say this earlier, like, we never even had a conversation about life at the basketball when we was playing. Like, so for you to come where you get to where you're at was amazing. Like, I love to see people who overcome the odds, but still know that inside of them, they believed in themselves no matter what. So for us to make this like something of the future, which I think is the way, because I'll use LeBron for an example. LeBron spends about 1.5 million on his nutrition, on his body. So all of this bioscience and all that stuff, he's going to probably spearhead it. Everybody's going to follow his lead. And then by you, already a couple feet ahead of people in it, I think it's going to be great for you, for the kids, and for, everything that you envision, going forward. Now, what I want to see with with just educating kids and, getting into the masses of kids is that they be open to learn. Like, a lot of these kids are not willing to learn about, things that's going to happen down the line and not right away, because we all want the now. Like, I'm good. I can go to the NBA. And I always tell my kids, like, why y'all rushing? Like, if you ain't had no money before and you feel like people talking about you going to the NBA, and then, it's like 50-50. Like, it was like with me, my junior year. Some people saying he's going, this, that, and the third, but I didn't hear nothing about it. So I'm not going to risk the chance knowing that I can get better. Like, I got an opportunity. Because if I ain't had no money then I'm okay to go another 8 months, because I ain't had no money anyway. So, I just want kids to be patient, like, really educate themselves, like, really understand, whatever it is that you're doing. Like, I didn't understand the business aspect of it. So I didn't understand what being a professional was. That was one of the things that really hindered me from becoming an NBA basketball player. I tell people that all the time. I had a lot of baggage. I had entourages. So kids need to understand that. Like, real is doing what you set out to do, and then sacrificing everything that's in your way. So if you can't get rid of your entourage, just to get to your, like, what you dream about doing, then and this is, like I said, I can speak about it now because I understand. And I knew that at that time the NBA was like really tired of the Allen Iverson persona. So I kind of fit into that because of the stereotype.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't think, I think kids can understand both. Like, it ain't just like you gotta play ball. Like, you can play ball and run a business. So, because at any given time, like, I think, we get so caught up in the idea of the NBA players that we think that's all it is. But we not really understanding that, like, 15 years later, that ball stops bouncing. Then what?
Yeah, I think so much what you said speaks it just hits home and it resonates. And I think the notion of education, empowerment, understanding, opportunities, exposure, that's what we're trying to do here at FitBiomics, work with leaders and pioneers and excellence such as yourself, learn, build communities, and translate that to everyone. So you're right, not everyone's a basketball player, but people could be healthy, people could start businesses, people could be scientists. And that's what we're doing. And I feel like I haven't spoken to you in such a long time. We could speak for hours and hours and hours.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
we got to go and we got to do this more often. But I think, you know, for that, you know, maybe we could just wrap it there. And what I could say, Marcus, is that, you know, we're grateful, we're excited, you know, we're proud of you, and I know you're proud of me. And I think this is a relationship that, you know, everything
Only
evolves.
gonna grow. Yep,
It
it's only
only
gonna
grows.
grow.
And we're excited for you to be a part of the FitBiomics team. We're excited for you, and we'd love to support you and your community, and vice versa. So, looking forward to continued growth and changing the world, right, together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So with that, you know, I'll just say thank you to everyone for joining this edition of One-on-One with Dr. J with Marcus Hatten. We look forward to continued conversation and innovation in changing the world together, sports and technology, and bridging the gaps. So Marcus, thank you. And to everyone else, speak to you soon. Take care.